Hello. Today I want to talk about air compressors. When you're selecting an air compressor for your shop, if you've never used one before, there's a lot to consider. Okay, the first thing you need to consider, of course, is the space you have in your shop. You need to figure out if you need one stationary, if you're portable, movable, The next one is your use. Once you figure out just, what you're going to need, whether it be a stationary or portable, then you can figure out what size you're going to need, okay? Now, most of the air compressors out there will handle just about everything you want, of the larger ones. But when you're trying to get one that'll fit your shop, can sometimes be a problem. I ran across this little Porter cable a couple years ago, and it did everything I needed to do because I'm not a big user of air compressor. I use it on my paint sprayers right now, and I use it on my palm sanders and stuff like that. But it did everything I needed. And the reason I chose this is because it did the CFMs that it puts out matches a little above the tools that I'm using. Now the CFMs is cubic foot per minute. Okay, that's a volume of air coming out. Then of course it has a PSI, which is pressure per square inch. Now this one here does 175 PSI. Okay, and it does a 5.1 CFMs. Okay. Now the CFMs, it does the 5.1 CFMs at 90 pounds of pressure. So if you go up above 90 pounds of pressure, you're going to have a little lower on the volume. The tools that I've used, for example, this palm sander, it requires like a 4.5 at about 30 or 40 pounds of pressure. So this air compressor actually does everything I really need it to do. It's not real big, it's not bulky. And this one's also portable. It comes with a 30-gallon tank. So I can move it around from side to side, or side of the shop to side of the shop if I want. I can take it outside. I can take it on a job site, whatever I need to do. It's not bad. It works great for me, and for most shops, small shops, I believe this is going to work for you too. Now, if you're a larger shop, of course, you won't be watching this video, but for the small guy that's never used one before, this is really, this size right here is really good for us. It works great. I don't think you'll have a problem with it. It'll probably do everything and more so that you'll need it to do. Just main thing you got to remember is find the tools that you're going to be using, and the one with the highest CFMs, cubic feet per minute, and along with the PSI. Make sure that the air compressor can supply the air to that tool. Okay, if that's the tool you're choosing that you're going to be using. So if you're choosing the palm sanders or paint sprayers or whatever, and on the side of the box, anywhere you go, Lowe's, Home Depot, etc. On the side of that box is going to tell you the CFMs and at what operating pressure it has to be at. Okay, so make sure that the tool will match the air compressor. Actually, I'd like the air compressor to be a little more than what the tool needs. Mainly because, manufacturers like to rate things a little higher than what they really are. So, but this little Porter cable here, it's got a 30-gallon tank. It does 175 at 5.1 CFMs. It works great on this right here at around 40 pounds, 50 pounds of pressure. It'll maintain all day on 30 pounds of pressure. Which is not really aggressive sanding at that point. But one of the things you've got to look at though when you decide to buy one is, now that you've got your air compressor, once you choose it and you got your tools, is what you need to put up on this to make sure that your tools stay functionable. And one thing I did is I got this trap, and you can put this on. You can pick this up Lowe's, Home Depot, anywhere like that. And when air is being compressed in this tank, the humidity in the air will also be in that tank. Well, after a while it condenses down and now it becomes water. And that water will actually be picked up and shot through your devices. And this is the end of the life of the tool you got. And it's really hard on paint sprayers too when you're trying to spray something that's putting water into the paint. So you're definitely going to need one of these. Okay, so pick one of these up, 20, 30 bucks. They probably got some smaller ones for 40. But get you something pretty decent. I've got this one set up in here to where it just plugs in right here. And then my air hose will hook into here. Now as the air comes in, it'll trap the water in here, and only the air will come out. Okay, so it keeps my tools free of water. The next thing you're going to need, which I don't have one here to show you, but you need to get some type of oiler. Okay, these tools require oil to be put in them. If you don't put oil in them, they're not going to last. They will tear up, especially if you're using the Harbor Freight tools. The Harbor Freight tools require a little more oil. They're not as high quality as what most of the tools are, but they do just as good a job. They just need more care, more tender loving care, I guess. But just remember, once you do decide to choose your air compressor and you get everything you needed, then don't forget, you got to do something about the water, okay? And you got to do something about the oil. If you're just using it lightly every now and then, you can actually put oil in there. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can. An automatic oiler works great. It constantly puts a little bit of oil into your tools, but you don't want one to actually come in, because if you're using a paint spray, you don't want that oil to go into your paint, okay? So have one that will use for your palm sanders, nailers, and stuff like that, but yet still have free to where your paint sprayers won't need it. I don't like using oilers on the paint sprayers because it does come in the paint. But this water right here, water collector, you're going to love it. And this is going to be the life of your tool. So this is one thing you need to choose when you do buy your air compressor, is get that. But this little Porter cable, I think you'll like one this size. For most shops, small shops, it'll do everything you need to do. Most of the tools will run around 4.5, 5 PSI or CFMs. So, you know, it is what it is. But I like this one, and I think you will too. Not just a Porter cable, but one this size. I picked this one up at Lowe's. I got it at a good deal. They were closing it out, so I had to try it a couple years ago. I've had no problems with this. It's handled everything I needed to do. And I chose it because I knew it would handle. It would put out the proper CFMs for the tools I was using. If it couldn't, I wouldn't have bought it. But anyway, that's what you need to look at when you're buying your air compressor, is match the air compressor to the tools that you're going to be using. Don't get one that's too small, because then you'll never be happy with it. You'll end up having to replace it, or you're going to work it to death, and it'll end up going out on you. So, but just that's all you got to consider. If you have any problems, or if you need suggestions, just shoot me an email at allenswoodworking.com, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can and see if we can come up with a solution. You know, if you're having problems figuring out what you need. I worked in retail for around 4 or 5 years, or 7 years, and some of the things I'm going over is stuff that people come in that didn't know. It sounds like it's pretty simple to most people that actually work with, you know, air compressors, but if you've never had one, you really don't know where to start, and that's where you need to start. You need to start with your size of your shop, based on what you'll need, and then your tools. How much air your tools are going to use. And of course, you know, if you're going to run 2 or 3 at a time, 2 or 3 people or whatever, you're going to have to account for that volume too. So, but just let me know if you need any help, okay? You have a good day now.